With this post-pandemic, a lot of things have changed, especially for the Gen Zs, the current workforce, which is there. Post-pandemic, AI introduction is there a lot. Work from office, it's mandatory now. So a lot of things are changing. So how people should cope up with all these things, keeping the negativity which is coming there in their mind.
How can they use AI to become swifter, faster? How can they control tasks that require repetition? AI will help you with all of this. What it leaves the individual with is more creativity. In fact, we have to learn how to navigate AI. So AI is not controlling us. We have to learn how to control.
Yeah, somebody said that if AI is not gonna eat your job, those who don't know how to run AI, those jobs might be at stake.
Yes.
Yes. Again, a question comes. It's a very layman question which you can relate, especially in metro cities. If we talk about Bangalore, because we are shooting in Bangalore, the traffic and all, where employees are very frustrated and they say that too much of traveling and then our work productivity is getting hampered. So they have this perception that if we are traveling in this much of traffic, we could have utilized that energy being at home, work from home, and we could have given the productivity. There's a lot of back and forth conversation on this. When a normal executive or senior executive they sit having a chai or some snacks, they have this conversation that why to come in rain, in traffic. Very layman conversation happens. So what do you want to tell those people so that they can have a different mindset? They can start seeing from a different angle. Welcome back once again to my show Noble by Richa, a corporate podcast. And it would be very unfair to say this, that am I dreaming or it is really happening today. You won't believe the diversity guest of mine, a very close friend, the strongest diversity I have ever met in my entire professional career. And the enthusiasm, the positivity which she carries, it is really infectious in a very positive way. And trust me, once you will get to know who is she, you will stick on to my entire podcast to hear and understand what she has got for us. So welcome to our show, Uttara Sharma.
Thank you, Richa. Pleasure being here.
So how is the day today going on? How are you feeling today here?
Oh, I'm feeling as enthusiastic as I usually do.
Yes.
It's a fantastic day because the weather's awesome. Just the right weather for you to want to get out, spend the day outside. And at the same time, maybe also just go back and curl up into a blanket and sleep. So either ways, it's a nice day. And it's great because I'm here with you.
Yes, finally.
I know. I think 4-5 months now?
4-5 months, we had to postpone due to our certain commitments. Yes. And I had promised that we will do only face to face. Yeah, no virtual.
No, thank you for that.
I always wanted to meet you, Uttara. So thank you so much for coming to the show.
It's my pleasure. Pleasure's all mine.
So I just want to know, like, how is your corporate journey going on with this post-pandemic? A lot of things have changed, especially for the Gen Zs and the current workforce, which is there. Post-pandemic, AI introduction is there a lot. Work from office, it's mandatory now. So a lot of things are changing. So how people should cope up with all these things, keeping the negativity which is coming there in their mind, and keep moving ahead.
Yeah, so Richa, I happened to meet a friend of mine after nearly about 10 years. I met this friend of mine who told me that the pandemic was actually one of the best phases of his life.
Really?
Yes, because he got to put into practice things he could not when life was normal, which included him running marathons. He was very heavy. He used to smoke a lot, but the pandemic put things in perspective for him, and he actually turned that entire negative aura into a positive opportunity for himself. He reduced smoking. He started practicing for marathons. He started practicing mountain climbing and so on and so forth. He's actually gone all the way to Ladakh by foot.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's done that, not a very long distance, but he's done that. My point is, the reason I bring this up is because pandemic came, it brought in certain amount of negativity. What we make out of that entire phase is dependent on us. I, for instance, what I used to do is I could not go to the gym, so I started practicing yoga at home. That gave me a very positive frame of mind as well. So what I'm trying to bring out here is that pandemic, AI, disruption in the economy, disruption in the ways of working, these are phases that will come and that are probably here to stay. Pandemic has come, it has gone. They'll say that COVID will never go, but there is still that fear that you might get an infection.
In fact, people were getting also some
Yeah, in
from
the
here
recent
and there.
past they were
Yes.
getting, right? How do you navigate yourself in the entire journey is totally dependent on you. You want to say that, oh my God, I have to go to office 3 days a week. How will I manage? What were you doing before the pandemic?
It was 5 days.
It was 5 days.
It was 5
And
days.
in organizations that have 6 day working, it was 6 days.
Yeah.
So when things have come back to normal, why has that not come back to normal is a question I'd ask myself. In fact, right now, I think organizations have become so much more supportive
Yes.
that while there is a 3 day work from office, in case of an emergency, in case of, health issues, they're giving you that leeway. Utilize that benefit only when you need it. Don't misuse it. Make sure that whatever you're giving back to the workplace is also benefiting you as well as the workplace. So, Richard, the pandemic came, it brought in a lot of negativity because there was so much that we were hearing, and it was an unprecedented situation at that point in time. But then I know of people, and I know how even I managed to make use of that phase and turned it into an opportunity to benefit myself. A friend of mine stopped smoking, took to very serious exercising, lost some 25 kgs, did expeditions in Ladakh, ran marathons. That is the kind of inspiration I would look for to say that if the environment around me is negative, what can I do to control to make it positive for myself in the first place? Post pandemic, we've come back to work. Things have started normalizing. Schools have started. People have started going to regular day jobs.
Yes.
And yet there are organizations that are giving us the flexibility because we got used to a certain way of working.
Yeah.
Right.
During pandemic.
During the
yes.
pandemic, we got used to a certain way of working. Now, most organizations are not saying that, oh, you have to come to office 5 days a week. They're giving you the benefit of using that flexibility of work from home for 2 days or maybe 1 day a week.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask a few people, or I want to ask people, how did they manage pre-pandemic?
When it was 5 days
When
in
it
a
was
week.
5 days in a
Yeah.
week. Kids would go to school 5 days a week. Parents would go to office 5 days a week. Why are we looking at criticism saying that we're being asked to come to office 3 days a week? Instead, why can't we say, wow, I get an opportunity to go to office 3 days a week, so I get to interact with people, I get to bond with people. That is the positive side I would look at.
Yeah.
AI. One of our leaders in the organization that I work with, he gave a very sweet example. Do you remember the time when we used to go to the railway station and book tickets and get those paper tickets?
Yes. The brown colors.
The brown color, the
small,
cardboard
yeah,
ones.
The small, yeah.
There were different types of machines that used to punch those tickets.
Yes.
Right? Then computers came in, and our tickets became a little more sophisticated to
Yes,
look at, to
yeah.
hold. But did that workforce change? No.
No.
What happened to them was they had to learn a new skill, which is
Yeah.
computers. Did any part of the service change? It only got better for the consumer. So the consumer started saying, oh, wow, this is what a train ticket looks like now. The same thing's happening with AI, Gen AI, and now agentic AI. It is a new skill that we have to pick up with which we can make a difference to our own world
Okay.
as well as the people who we work with. I'd be happiest if my clients benefit out of a new skill that I have learned. So instead of saying AI is here to take my jobs, AI is not here to take our jobs. AI is here to make us more productive. What we make out of that opportunity is in our hands,
Okay.
right? If we decide to say that, oh no, I'm not going to use AI and I'm going to work the traditional way, fair enough. How long will that last is going to be very difficult to guess because people will race ahead of you. Another perspective that I recently heard was our generation. When I'm talking about our generation, I'm counting myself in the. I'm not a Gen Z, but I'm close to a Gen X actually. We didn't learn AI formally.
Yeah.
We are learning it on the job. We are being trained at the workplace. The much younger generation, I think the generation Alpha.
Yeah.
They will learn it in schools and colleges.
Yeah, my daughter is learning the same thing.
She's
yes,
learning the
yeah.
same thing. The Gen Z, unfortunately or fortunately, is stuck in between somewhere.
Okay.
They've not learned it in school. They are finding it. I won't generalize the statement, but the usage of AI is becoming so prominent that they have no choice but to learn it. People in my generation, or maybe older than me, will phase out in a
Yeah.
few years. The Gen Z is here to stay.
Yes.
They are actually the people who should look at this as an opportunity more than a disruption.
Okay.
Because how can they use AI to become swifter, faster? How can they control tasks that require repetition? How can they manage tasks that require repetition? AI will help you with all of this.
Yes.
What it leaves the individual with is more creativity. In fact, we have to learn how to navigate AI.
Yes.
So AI is not controlling us. We have to learn how to control
Yeah.
it.
Somebody said that if AI is not gonna eat your job, those who don't know how to run AI, those job might be at stake.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I can still, grow in my job if I know how to use AI effectively to my benefit, to my organization's benefit, to my client's benefit.
Mhm.
And the moment I'm able to show that benefit to myself, my organization and my client, automatically there is appreciation, automatically there is the feeling that, oh wow, this is something new, this is something that we must adopt. So it is only scaling up, it is only growing. We are the ones who are responsible for that growth.
Yeah.
So it is totally on us in terms of how we make use of this as an opportunity, and don't call it a disruption, don't call it a thing that is here to take our jobs. No, it is not.
Okay. So again, the work from home, work from office is the topic which is ongoing topic. People literally don't want to come. And there was a time where they were given, work from home, but people started misusing it. Misusing, like, okay, just logged in and doing their personal stuff, traveling and all. So like, what are your thoughts on this? That are like, is it like people are misusing, and that's why the organization has come to a stage where somehow they have said that it's a big no, we will not approve any kind of work from home because of certain things which the employees or any person has done.
I don't think it is I don't think the reason for organizations to want to bring people back to office is because someone has misused it. I personally feel that organizations are interested in keeping their workforces engaged.
Okay.
Employee engagement is one of the key evaluators for an organization's strength and organization's health. Right? You look at a Glassdoor. When you apply for jobs, why do people look at Glassdoor and say what is the organization's rating? It is
Yes.
only so that they see, is this place good enough for me to go and join?
Because it's internal rating given by employees.
It is rating given by internal employees as well as people who have moved out of the
Yes.
organization.
Yes.
Right? So employee engagement is what the organizations are interested in. Employee productivity is what the organizations are interested in. And it is going to be very difficult for them to control productivity or to monitor productivity while there is so much of advancement of technology that you can literally see people through proctors. You can see people whether they're moving in front of their camera, in front of their laptops or not.
Even the cursors also moving, not moving, you can monitor. There are a
But
lot of applications.
There are, but
Yeah.
then people have come up with ways to also navigate,
Yes.
also circumvent that,
Yeah.
that check and balance. I'm coming back, right? So I think organizations are not doing this because they don't trust people. I think they trust people. If they didn't, even that 2 days of work from home wouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
They want people back so that people can come to work, bond with each other. Bonding fosters creativity. Bonding fosters productivity.
Yeah.
When you're at work, you see your other colleagues working. You feel like contributing to,
Yes.
to the team, to the organization, to the client. And I don't think if you go back during the pandemic years, didn't we have digital fatigue at one point in time?
We had.
Yeah,
We had.
sitting in front of WebExes and in front of Teams and in front of these Zoom meetings and all of that just gave us more headaches than anything else. Coming to work is a great way to bring that balance between digital and non-digital.
Yeah.
And despite AI, despite everything that's going digital, the most important connection that people will still have is the people connection.
Yeah. The
So
human touch
the
connection.
human touch
Yeah.
connection. So I think organizations are asking people to come back for those reasons,
Okay.
not because they don't trust.
Okay. So again a question comes. It's a very layman question which you can relate, especially in metro cities. If we talk about Bangalore, because we are shooting in Bangalore, the traffic and all, where employees are very much frustrated, and they say that too much of traveling, and then our work productivity is getting hampered. Why can't we So they have this perception that if we are traveling in this much of traffic, that much we could have utilized that energy being at home, work from home, and we could have given the productivity. So there's a lot of back and forth conversation on this, when the normal executive or senior executive, they sit for having a chai or some snacks, they have this conversation that why to come in rain, in traffic. A lot of very layman conversation happens. So what do you want to tell those people, so that they can have a different mindset, they can start seeing from a different angle?
Sure. Um, Richa, I think about a few months back, there were very heavy rains in Bangalore, and it rained whole night. It rained continuously, and I got a call from my manager saying, "I think it's better we stay at home today.
Mm-hmm.
Instruct your team also to stay at home." We are not being inhumane here by saying, "Oh, it doesn't matter if it's raining, snowing, if there is hailstorms, do whatever it is, come to office."
In fact, our shoot also got postponed due to
Because
rain.
of rains.
Yeah, because I
Correct.
could not travel. Yeah.
Correct. So I think there is enough and more flexibility for people to utilize in cases when it is actually futile to step outside the house.
Mm-hmm.
I live in an area where if that one road is if it is dug up, it'll be very difficult for me to get out of the house.
Okay.
And I have the flexibility to call my manager and tell them that today I don't think it will be possible for me to come to office, or it is even beneficial for me to come to office because I'll spend a lot of time on the road.
Yeah.
That said, Bangalore has traffic. We all know it,
Yes.
right? How I have decided to look at the positive side of it is my commute time between home to office and office to home is my me time. Otherwise, I'm either working out, or I'm taking my dog for a walk, or I'm in front of my laptop, or I'm, doing something else or the other, where I don't get the time for myself. So when do I listen to the music that I want to listen to? When do I talk to my friends that I want to catch up with?
Okay.
It doesn't happen on a day-to-day basis.
Yes.
So that 1 hour or 45 minutes, whatever time I'm on the road, I use that time to do things that bring me happiness.
Okay.
Music is a big part of it.
Yeah. It's always been.
And I will even sing loudly in the car. I don't care who's watching me.
Shall we put
Oh
a
no
prompt
no
here?
no 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 no, not here. No, I'm not trying to be difficult or pricey. I'm just saying that here I don't want people to stop watching your podcast because they heard me.
I was about to
sing.
put a prompt here.
No. No, the point is that I have decided what I want to do with that time.
Yeah.
And I've decided how to make it feel positive for myself. Do I have physical fatigue when I get back home after a long drive or a long ride on my motorbike? Of course I do. But hey, that 1.5 hours of me time that I get during the day also gives me the satisfaction that I've spent something with myself today.
Okay.
I'm able to think more clearly in that environment where there's nobody else out there to influence my thoughts. I can talk to myself. I can have conversations with, if I'm dropping someone or picking someone up, I can have conversations with them. And these are light-hearted conversations. Tell me, in our day-to-day corporate lives, and we no longer work in 9 to 5 jobs.
Yes.
Do we get the opportunity to have these free-flowing conversations? We don't.
No.
Can we use that time to have that? I know some people who get a kick out of observing others and in their own minds creating a story. That's entertaining. You can choose to entertain yourself. You can choose to look at someone, make an observation, even probably in your own mind cook a story of what would they be talking. Also entertainment.
Yeah. In fact, nowadays people are, like recording somebody's video if they're stuck in traffic and they're doing something and putting it on the social media even just for the fun. That is something which should not be done, which I think, because you are recording somebody without permission, and you are, putting them on social media. So entertainment again
has
should
to be-
have a boundary
Yes.
line. So this is what I.
See, as long as I'm entertaining myself and not making fun of someone in a public forum,
Yeah.
I think that is where we
And
should
not
draw the
tarnishing
line.
image.
Yes.
Just think, there should be a boundary. Yeah.
Yes, there should be a boundary. I mean, I would hate it if, and I have this habit of, sometimes just scratching my head or scratching my nose. I don't know if someone's recording me and trying to make something out of that, putting a caption over there. I would hate to see myself like
Yes,
that.
and nowadays it's very much easy for people to just crop, edit, and write
That is
something.
not a done
That
thing.
is not done. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what. So if you're doing something, you should know your boundary
You should know
line.
your boundaries. And, you know, without consent, I think anything without consent is where the boundary should be drawn. You cannot publish someone else's images, you cannot publish someone else's movements without their consent. And if you're doing it for a stranger, that's even worse. I don't know. I mean, for people who probably use pool cabs, share cabs, or if they have a driver dropping them to work, they can use that time to either do some reading or listening to some podcasts, even learning.
My podcast, yes,
Your
please.
podcast, why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. In fact, when I am stuck up in traffic, I write questions for my, the next podcast. That's how, I see people, I read articles, and I write down the questions and all, because that is the only time I am getting to jot down
Yes.
the questions.
Yes, absolutely. I see. It's only in the last 3 years that I've started driving. I used to ride a motorbike to office earlier and come back on the motorbike. I used to have one earphone, one side of the earphone in my
Which
ear.
is dangerous.
One side,
Okay.
only with a very small amount of
Okay.
very soft music playing over there. Or in case I needed help with navigation through
Yes,
maps, that would help me
it's
with
audible,
that.
yes.
So people would ask me, "Don't you feel tired? You're wearing a helmet. You've got a bike that you're riding on, and doesn't your back hurt?" I said, "Look, I exercise. One that keeps me hale and hearty. So I exercise my back, and that's why my back doesn't hurt.
Okay.
But I use that time really to think. I use that time to just to tell myself that, okay, this is how I'm going to start my day. That is also the time I can use for planning. I can do a lot with that time, Richa.
Okay.
But the onus is on me. So if people are complaining about traffic, and it's not an illegitimate complaint, there is a problem. Traffic is a problem.
No, so the complaint is related, like, due to traffic, our productivity is getting hampered. We could have used this 2 hours of traveling into our work, and we could have given productivity. But I feel that you can plan, like,
You can plan.
you can plan.
You
If
can
you are
plan.
in office, do those priority tasks where you need somebody to sit, face to face, have meeting, and learn something and resolve that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Few things are there which you can't do virtually.
Yes.
You want to sit face to face
And do it
like
face to face.
reports or
Yes.
any kind of thing. So prioritize your work like that.
Absolutely. Those 2 hours of time that you are stuck in traffic, think about how you want to prioritize it. So
Yes.
your mind is still running.
Yeah.
You can keep blaming organizations and keep blaming the infrastructure of the city,
Yes.
but this is our reality.
This is the reality. And while blaming the infrastructure as well, maybe you can come up with some thought to, fix that infrastructure. Maybe put it on the social media. Just tag some. Nowadays, tagging everybody is very easy.
It's very easy.
It's
Yes.
just that negative tagging is happening instead of positive tagging.
Yes. We've recently read about the stray dog menace.
Yes.
Now, I'm a dog lover, right? If I hear about something like this, I'd want to think about ways in which I can make a difference to the society. And in Hindi, there is a saying कि बूंद बूंद से सागर बनता है.
Yes.
So that one contribution that I make, it might not make a whole world of a difference, but I can either choose to sit back and say, okay, this is a problem that I relate to, empathize with, but I will not do anything about it. Or I can say that these are my thoughts with which I want to make a difference.
Yeah.
That thinking can be done while you're stuck in traffic.
Yeah, it's just that nowadays, again, in the Hindi saying कि लोगों के thoughts बहुत ज़्यादा है. It's just that they don't want to do it. They
Yeah.
just want to criticize.
I call them armchair pundits.
That's a new word.
Sitting on an armchair and giving gyan.
yeah, this gyan,
Yeah.
yeah. But when it comes, when that gyan comes on them, they can't handle.
They can't handle.
They get diluted.
Well, I don't want to put the blame on anyone. First of all,
Yeah.
a lot depends also on your own capacity to be able to handle what other people are giving you. I can't control what the others are doing, but I can definitely control what I am doing, how I'm thinking, what I'm saying, how much I am contributing. That is totally on me.
Right.
So to come back to your earlier question, right? Why, I mean, negativity because of commute, negativity because of non-productive time spent on the road. You can call it non-productive. You can also make it productive. The choice is yours. You always have two choices. You have to pick one. What you make, what you pick, the choice that you make defines the person that you are becoming.
Okay.
So positivity is not something that people are born with.
Yes, you
There is a
have
lot of negativity around you.
and then you have to emerge out of
You
it.
have to emerge out
Yeah,
of it.
I had read a article somewhere that it's all here.
It is.
Yeah, it was with the image. It's all
It's
here.
all here.
It's all here.
Yes.
And that it did really hit me.
Yes.
It's all here. You just have to use it.
Yes.
It's up to you how you want to use it.
There's another, on similar lines, I read something that whether you think you can or you can't, you're always right.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. That's a great saying. Yeah.
I don't know who said it, but yeah, I remember reading it somewhere that you decide whether you can or you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I want to just digress slightly and tell you something that the reason why I believe that whether you think you can or you can't, you're always right. I come from a family where the women in my family have been extremely strong, and not just because others are saying it, it's because I've seen that in action. My grandmother was a homeopathy doctor. She had 6 children. And after having 6 children, she studied to become a homeopathy doctor.
Great.
And I'm talking about a lady who had kids in the 40s and 50s, 1940s and 1950s.
Yeah. Early marriage, early kids, responsibilities
Yes,
and all.
and 6 kids.
6 kids.
You know,
Yeah.
one after the other, just churning,
Yeah.
manufacturing kids. But the environment around her was such that she needed to contribute financially also to the family. And for that, instead of just picking up anything that, she could have done cooking, she could have done many other things. But she broke the stereotype in the 1950s.
50s.
In the
Okay.
1950s, she broke the stereotype. She studied and she became a homeopathy doctor. As a kid, I remember sitting in her dispensary and waiting for her to give me medicines.
Okay.
My mother was a very, normal zoology, botany graduate, BSc graduate. She was a homemaker for most part of it. But she had a keen interest in music. Now, till such time as I needed the attention at home. I have an elder brother, but till such time I needed the attention at home, she stayed at home. And the moment I started going to school and spending 7 hours in school, she used that time to go and study Hindustani classical music vocals.
Great.
She did her diploma and then she did her degree
Okay.
in Hindustani classical vocal music. She did that for 7 years.
Okay.
This was in the early 80s, early to late 80s. I have at least about, I don't know, countless number of ladies in the family who have never been married. So they've broken stereotypes. And somewhere that came into me as well a little. I learned how to ride a motorbike when I was 32.
Okay.
And in a very short span of 6 to 7 years, I've been able to clock about nearly 100,000 kilometers on my motorbike. Why I bring this up is because breaking the stereotypes does not require for you to have a godfather or a godmother.
Yes.
Your circumstances, your aspirations, and of course you will need support around. I think it's pointless to say that I'll do everything on my own and I don't care if anyone supports me or not. You will need the support around. Like in my mom's case, I think my father was there to, help her when she couldn't come home early. He was there with us, taking care of us.
Yeah.
I'm sure my grandfather helped my grandmother a lot as well. My mother helped my grandmother because she was the eldest amongst the kids. She helped my grandmother. So your support system is equally important. Then comes your will.
Okay.
The will to make a difference is on you. You can blame it on 50,000 people and say, because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I could not make things happen. What did you do to make it happen?
Yeah.
Did you really go out of your comfort zone? Did you do things that would actually help break those stereotypes and say that I made a difference? When I look at people around who have the tendency to talk about negativity around them, my only advice to them would be, what can you do to change this around you?
Yeah.
What is your contribution to
Yes.
it?
Instead of just sitting and spreading negativity.
And even if it means going and, like you're doing this podcast.
Yes.
I think it's a beautiful initiative. Why did you think of it? Why did you think of making a difference? Because you saw that this was required. So, this is your way of contributing to bringing in more positivity,
Yeah.
right? I'd start with bringing in positivity with myself first. I want to do things that make me feel
Yes.
upbeat, make me feel that, oh, I've done something that is making a difference. Uh, I wasn't a dog parent till a few years back. But bringing that dog was a very conscious decision. Bringing the dog into my life was a very conscious decision because the pandemic
Yeah.
did have an effect on me.
Okay.
I've been living alone for the last 15 years.
Okay.
I needed a companion. Now, I can't go looking for a companion and say, hey, companion, come sit with me. No, I can't do that, right? So, and I like dogs. So I said, why not? Did I have to bring changes into my life? Oh, hell yes. But all positive changes.
Yeah.
I started walking because I have a dog. I've become fitter because I have a dog. So I have a friend who asked me this question: do you at any moment regret the decision? Because now you can't do late night parties, you can't go around biking the way you used to. I said, not a bit. Because that is a decision I have taken.
Yes.
Right? So, how I make the most of it depends on me. That is how I would advise people to say that. Do things that make you happy in the first place. Stop cribbing about everything around you.
Right.
And when you do things that make you happy, make the most of that happiness also. Find the silver lining. I say this a lot. Look for the silver lining. They say, no, that proverb we've heard in school, we used to write on the board, every cloud has a silver lining.
Yes, we have. Yeah.
That is the silver lining I'm talking about.
Okay.
That silver lining is always there. Every cloud, every dark cloud will have a silver lining. How you see it is totally dependent on you.
There's a lot of disconnect from one employee to another employee in the organization, a lot of negativity. So what do you think, how people can bring up that positivity among colleagues as a team member? They say that we are team member, we are a family, but how much justification we are doing for this statement?
Actually goes back to the point where we say that the initiative has to be ours. We
Yes.
can't control anyone else taking the initiative, but the initiative has to be ours. I'm a learning and development professional, and one of the things that we have coached people in is something known as a Johari window. I'm not sure if you've heard of the Johari window concept. But like a window has 4 quadrants. The first quadrant in this is the open area, which is known to me, things that I know about myself and others also know about me.
Okay.
The next one is what others perceive of me, but I don't know that they're perceiving that of me. So here is where I ask for feedback. I ask people, why do they behave the way with me, the way they do? I ask people, how can I work differently? What can I do that will help me, solve a problem, for example? So I ask for feedback. The third quadrant is something that I know, but the others don't know about me. Connect with people is a two-way process.
Yeah.
When I share an area about my life, or I share an experience that I have had, or I share a trait that I have. Like, for example, just some time back, I told you that I have very brittle nails because I bite my nails. You wouldn't have known that about me if I hadn't told you.
I did not notice even. Yeah.
I know. I'm just saying that this is something that I've shared with you. You probably know a little more about me than you did 15, 20 minutes back.
Yes.
Maybe this is something you might remember. Maybe this is something that you'll relate to when you come across a similar situation like this. So that is how I've built a small little, I've not done it consciously, but I've just shared something about
Yeah.
myself with you. And the fourth one is neither known to me nor known to the others. These are behaviors that evolve due to circumstances. These are behaviors that evolve due to various experiences that we have.
Okay.
Like, it could be about a reaction that I've never had before. Generally, I'm not the kind of a person who feels very nervous about anything. But in the recent past, I was anticipating, or I was waiting for an announcement of an award for which I had made a submission. I never knew I could feel so nervous about it then. You know, even my friends who were with me said, we've never seen you like this.
Okay.
So that's a new area of me that they saw, I felt,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
This is a process of evolving, and this is a process of evolving together. So at the workplace, building connections is a very conscious effort one has to make.
Okay.
Again, it's a choice. We can either choose to work in silos and say, I'll come to office, do my work and go back. I don't need to interact with others. But have you ever heard of anyone saying that I benefit by not interacting with others?
No.
On the contrary, have you heard people say, I benefit even if it is 0.01%? I benefit when I talk to other people.
Yeah.
As I mentioned earlier, even in the most wired world of AI, the human connection is something that nobody can replace. Fostering positivity at the workplace also there are multiple ways to do it. Building connections and retaining those connections is something that will help foster that positivity. And to do that, we need to learn the art of appreciation.
Yes. This is much needed.
Yes. I can share with you two examples. One example of it's a very personal example, not related to the workplace. And there is a workplace. Let me speak to you about the workplace example first. There is a colleague of ours who, when you look at that person, they appear to be very serious. They don't appear to be very approachable. That's the first impression that they give out. What worked for me was talking to them in terms of their interest,
Okay.
asking them things that they would like to talk about, which included this individual spends a lot of time on automation, a lot of time with, and very well read individual.
Mm-hmm.
So you go and ask that person for an opinion, he would want to talk about it. So that is how I ended up breaking ice with the individual. And today, when I wanted some help, very in the recent past, I needed some help with reference to a very critical area at work. It took that individual 3 minutes to give me that help.
Okay.
So from someone who's said that, someone who creates the aura of I'm not approachable, to someone who helps you within 3-4 minutes. It is a journey that we have
made
together.
Yeah.
What has worked for me was to talk to them in terms of their interest, was to also appreciate them for the knowledge that they have.
Yeah.
This is a workplace example I'm giving you. I'm going to go back about 20 years. I joined a training organization as an employee, and one of the first things I was exposed to was the power of appreciation.
Okay.
So my trainer gave all of us, we were a bunch of about 9-10 of us in that room. They told us, write a note to one person who has helped you become who you are in your life.
Mm-hmm.
My relationship with my mother till then was slightly different. My mother was 35 years older than I am.
Okay.
Right? So there's a huge generation gap both of us have.
Yeah.
And I'm the younger sibling. The younger sibling always complains that, the elder one is the favorite of the mother.
That means it's something.
Which could be true as well, because the elder sibling is the firstborn. So
Yeah.
obviously that attachment is very different. So I would always think that my mom doesn't like me. She's always finding faults in me. But when I sat down and I thought about who is that one person who has made a difference to my life, I couldn't think of anyone else but her. I wrote that note thanking her for all the work that she's done. The trainer took these notes from us, put them in an envelope and posted them.
Okay.
Posted them. And they said, don't tell the person who you have written to, don't tell that person that something like this is going to come their way. 3, 4, 5 days passed and there was no reaction.
Mm-hmm.
In that note, I had said thank you to her. I had said thank you to her for going out of her way to make sure that I have a comfortable life. And I cited a few examples.
Okay.
So 4-5 days went by. There was no reaction from home. Finally, I asked her, I said, Mom, have you received anything from office? She said, yeah. I said, okay, then? She said, nothing. So I said, okay, maybe this didn't work. But Richa, I can vouch for the fact that that appreciation worked.
Okay.
Because from there on,
Mm-hmm.
I was 26 years old at that time. From there on, my relationship with her changed.
Got it. Okay.
She started sharing a lot more with me. She started seeing me as an adult.
Okay.
To the point where 4 years later I decided to, it was a work commitment as well as my own decision that I wanted to branch out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And most parents will say, no, 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 how will you manage? She said, go.
Oh, okay.
She trusted me. So it wasn't just about treating me like an adult, it was also about trusting
Trust.
me.
Okay.
And when this happens, you automatically feel that I've done something right.
Yeah.
I have made a difference to the relationship. The workplace example that I gave you about this individual who's not approachable, who doesn't appear to be approachable, it made that one little investment of time having a conversation with them about things that they like to talk about and appreciate them for, whatever good things they're talking about. That has gone a long way in building a connection that I know I can look forward to and I can lean on to if I need help. Building connections is not a one-day process.
Yeah, it's not. It's not.
It is not a one-day
It
process.
takes a lot of time.
It takes time and you have to have the patience.
Patience. Patience is I think key.
And you cannot say that if I have appreciated the person, they should also appreciate me back.
Yeah.
Do it without any expectation.
But automatically expectation will come.
It comes, but how I deal with that expectation with myself is my choice.
Okay.
I would like it if someone comes and says nice things to me. I'm sometimes a little shameless also to say to tell people that, oh my God, why aren't you giving me a compliment? But I do that with people who I know will not misunderstand me.
Yes. Yeah, because the sense of understanding, person to person also differs.
Yes. And if for some reason that equation hasn't matured enough or developed enough for you to take liberties, then you can always say sorry. You don't become small by saying sorry.
Yeah. It hardly takes 1 second, not even a second.
And you should mean it when you say it. You don't
Yes.
say sorry for the sake of
Yeah.
it, right? So, and it often happens, especially in positions of leadership. And I have a team of people that I lead. I might have said something to some people that may have hurt them.
Mm-hmm.
But owning up and saying that, hey, listen, I didn't mean to, or I didn't intend to personally hurt you. There is a certain trait of mine which is not the most, which is not something which you would find very, very easy to deal with. I'm going to try and change that for myself and for you. And so my apologies that I have hurt you. There is a difference between saying my apologies if I have hurt you
Yeah.
and my apologies that I have hurt you.
Yes. There's a very thin line.
Yes. If
Okay.
is conditional.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah. And just saying for the namesake.
But that I have heard you, which means I'm acknowledging that something I have done may have hurt you.
Yeah.
So that is another dimension to building relationships. It is not all hunky-dory. Relationships do go through workplace relationships, personal relationships. We all go through those rocky terrains and
Yeah.
there will be ups and downs. The question I'd ask everyone who is listening or who is, who's out there is that, do you believe that people come to work with the intent to sabotage or hurt?
No.
No, they don't. They don't care. Right? Do you go with the intent to hurt or sabotage? No.
No.
But can you go with the intent to say that today I will get to know someone slightly better?
Yeah.
And in a very
Challenging in positive way.
challenging, I don't know, but positivity is a very, very large term. But in a very, I'm trying to get the right word, but basically what I'm trying to say is it should not be with any expectation saying that if I give, I will get.
Okay. Okay.
I will make my efforts. If they are not making the effort, I will back off.
Without saying anything.
Yeah, and without blaming the person.
Yeah.
Maybe they are not, like, my energies don't match with them.
Yeah.
My
Okay.
enthusiasm may not match with theirs. If they see something nice in me, they might say it. If they don't say it, it's all right. I know who I am.
Yeah. So this much of patience and understanding, it does not come, in one day or 1 month.
does
It's a long journey, and there's a saying that to break something, it hardly takes 1 second, not even a fraction of second.
Yes.
But to build up something which you have built up in your career, personal and your professional journey, I mean, this is really a remarkable journey which you're explaining, and people should, learn and hear what exactly you are, explaining, because you are explaining your personal and, putting the professional, and you can tackle personal,
Yes.
professional using the same logic.
You
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, slight differences will be there. Of course, in professional world we can't scream, even if at home we can little bit,
We can
but
take liberties at
yeah,
home.
but yes, that's what I'm trying to say, that you can use the same trick to balance your personal and professional challenges. You can meet people, learn, and the way you're explaining is very much relatable. It's not a rocket science.
It's not rocket
It's not a
science.
rocket science. It's just communicate.
Richa, I'll probably give you a slightly lighter tone to it. When you are romantically interested in someone,
Yeah.
you make the effort, no?
Yes.
Why only for romance?
Yes.
Why can't that effort be made for friendships,
Yes.
for workplace connections? You don't have to be friends with everyone at work. But look, the reality is that we're spending a lot of time in the workplace. If we end up quoting someone, because quoting, as in just, spending a lot of time and effort for someone who we are romantically interested in, workplace connections are equally important.
Because you're giving your everyday 9-10 hours.
Exactly. So just like we make that effort and just like we spend the time for someone who we really like,
Yeah.
whether or not they are reciprocating, we still make an effort, right?
To get them back.
To get them to even look at us. Can we make probably 1/4 of that effort at the workplace,
Yeah.
so that at least we know whether that person is interested in building a workplace connection with us or not, and if they are not, it's all right.
It's all right.
It's all
Yeah,
right.
it's all right, because that's not only the stop.
Yes.
You can just go ahead. Yeah, so that's what. It's not a rocket science.
It's
So
not rocket science.
people don't need to take too much seriously, getting overwhelmed and putting tax, and then ending up with negative thoughts and all.
Yes.
This can be tackled, I think, through transparency, the
Yes.
communication,
Yes,
the trust.
absolutely. Trust builds. I mean, trust is, again, building trust is not an overnight job.
Yeah, that's what I said.
It's a
that
series of actions that you have
and
to
series
take.
of forgiveness as well.
Yes,
In your
and
personal life and professional life.
absolutely, and series of owning up,
Yeah.
saying I've made a mistake.
Yes. And it takes a lot of courage to say this, where people are literally lacking, especially in this fast moving technology world. People have, I feel that the patience is lacking.
It is,
Yeah, and we need to really
and
work
it's lacking
on
everywhere.
Yeah, and we really need to work on it. I myself is working on it. To be honest, I am not a preacher or some some baba doing, but I am working on it. At least I am reading article, talking to people, my seniors, having the podcast, and I'm also learning. I'm not just doing podcast. I'm learning as well with every
Right,
individual.
right.
So I believe a lot of things can be tackled if all these things are heard by our listeners the way you are explaining.
Thank you.
So Uttara, again, the recent topic which is happening everywhere, the layoffs are happening. It's and these questions I have asked with my different guests as well, but I still want to have your your viewpoint on this. With this layoff, people have a lot of anxiety, so how they should cope up with this, what strategies they should make, what skill they should develop, how they should embrace this uncertainty which is happening at workplace.
Ja, uncertainty is not easy. When you are looking at what's going to come my way, it is scary.
Yeah.
It is extremely scary, and it is very unnerving, so to say that, will I be the next victim? And I'm going to share something with you that happened about a few years back with me. I used to work for an IT consulting organization, and there was a role that I was hired for which did not have a past precedence to it.
Okay.
And about a year into that role, and I think the organization and I, both of us realized that this role probably is not needed.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
it is overlapping with some other roles over
Yeah.
here. And they offered me a role for which I would have probably had to take a couple of levels cut.
Mm-hmm.
I would have had to come down maybe a couple of levels, and I was not okay with that. But that was a very conscious decision I made, saying that I'm not okay with that.
Okay.
Now, I've made that decision, but I also need to stand by it. So it just happened that, I had to move out of the organization.
Oh, okay.
Because I wasn't willing to take the role that they had given me, or they were giving me, and they did not have anything else available for me.
Mm-hmm.
And why will an organization keep me at a cost when they
Yes.
don't need, right?
Yeah.
So It just happened in that way that I had to move out, and for about 6 months I didn't have a job.
Okay.
It wasn't easy.
Of course, I was about to ask this.
It just wasn't easy. I obviously for the first 2-3 days I was very upset. Few things that helped me. One is I used the skills that I had to keep me gainfully occupied, which means I said yes to a lot of opportunities where I had to go and train people, or I
Okay.
had to, I even gave a lot of interviews with freelance consultants saying, if you have a training requirement, I'm here to help. I used that time to learn a little more around content development, which is a part of what I do.
Okay.
Okay. I'll use that time to learn a little more about internal consulting. I use that time on how, to learn how to navigate through the premium profiles of LinkedIn.
Yes, this is what
Networking.
networking. Yes.
Networking. And I built
And a lot of
few-
people don't know.
They don't.
LinkedIn, yeah.
Yes.
They really don't know.
Yes. And that networking and that, being out there on the professional social media like LinkedIn is what got me my next job. Yes, of course, there were questions around my past work and my skills and what all do I do in my professional life. But the answer that got me that job was the individual asked me, how would you rate yourself on resilience? And I said, I'd rate myself an 8 on 10 because I've been jobless for the last 6 months and yet I'm here having a very positive conversation with you.
Yes.
So he laughed at me and he said, I wasn't expecting that answer, but well done,
Yeah.
is what he said.
A
And
very transparent answer.
I mean, what else could I have said?
Yeah, nothing.
So uncertainty is not something that I can control. What
Yeah.
is happening in the economy outside is not something that I can control.
Yeah.
What can I control? I can control improving my network.
Yeah.
I can control improving my skills.
Mm-hmm.
I can control looking for opportunities where I might have to learn a few things.
Yeah.
I will have to get out of my comfort zone.
Yes.
But if I want to stay relevant, I don't think not getting out of the comfort zone is a choice.
Yeah.
Practicing whatever I have learned and making myself a pro at it. Of course, it has to be relevant in today's workplace.
Yeah.
For example, nobody nowadays uses a typewriter, so no one's really going to test your speed of typing.
Yeah.
Have you ever been asked a question in an interview, what is your speed of typing?
No, but it happens for back office interviews.
If they are working on those kind of tools, right? But and nowadays you don't even need
Nowadays,
speed of
no.
typing.
Yeah, I'm talking about before AI. Yeah.
Now you don't even need
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
You ask,
AI only is writing everything.
is writing everything for you. You give it a voice prompt and it'll give you everything.
Yes. Yeah.
So dealing with uncertainty will require for the individual to slightly change their definition of comfort.
Okay.
They have to start getting comfortable with newness,
Mm-hmm.
embracing change instead of criticizing it.
Yeah.
And change, again, I'm going to say a very cliched proverb that we've learnt in school and used to write on the board. Change is the only constant.
It is there in my, tagline also.
So if change is the only constant and we know it, and we have been experiencing change from the time we are born,
Yes. And we are adjusting happily.
and we are adjusting happily because life moves on.
Yes.
And we've got to move on with it. So if we've adjusted to change and embrace change on level 1, can we use the experience of that level to see how can I embrace this change now?
Yeah.
Right. So that is how I'd say we should deal with uncertainty. Just to summarize, skilling, networking, finding opportunities where I can apply what I already know, learning how to be comfortable with discomfort.
Okay. That's a great statement.
Yeah, I mean, see, in 2014, I used to live in Pune, which is
Yeah.
where you live right
Yes.
now. Which was very close to where I grew up. I
Okay.
grew up in New Bombay. So
Okay.
Pune was hardly any.
It's a
About 2.5 hour drive. I got an opportunity or I was asked if I would be okay to move to Bangalore
Mhm.
at that point in time. My mother was extremely unwell, and we just lost our father. So
I'm sorry to know.
no, that's all right. Thank you. So the thought that crossed my mind was, should I be making this move right now? That was the first thought that crossed my mind. And when I went and spoke to her, my mom was like, "Listen, you have a life ahead of you. So don't lose out on an opportunity just because I am unwell. When I
Okay.
need you, I will call you.
Yeah.
So go." I didn't know what to expect when I came to Bangalore. Right. I didn't know the language.
Oh yeah.
I'm a Mumbai born and brought up girl in Mumbai who knows Marathi.
I had one more person guest here, Bombay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I think I know.
Yes.
So incidentally, he and I studied in the same college.
Oh, okay. He also had the same, language, the Bombaya language.
So I'm born and brought up in New Bombay, and I've studied in the greater city. Moving to Pune was easy because there's no language barrier
Yeah.
there. They still speak the same language. The first barrier that I felt when I came here was language. Second is, every city has its own pulse.
Yeah.
Right, every city has the people of the city have their own pulse. Like in Bombay, they're very caring, but otherwise they don't care. You see the extremes of both. I just felt like, oh my God, why are people looking at me over here like as if I'm an alien? Because we come from a different city, you bring a different aura with you. It took a year. It took a whole year. And I still remember this one day. I had to go to Vizag to deliver a training program. And the journey to Vizag was not easy. It was a flight from here to Vizag. And from Vizag, there was a 5-hour drive
Okay. By road.
by road.
Okay.
I was there for about 4 days. I came back to Bangalore late in the night. And when I was opening the door, I said, I'm so glad to be back home. That was that one moment where I felt, okay, now I belong to this city. It didn't happen overnight. I had to make friends. I made friends. Along with a friend of mine, we started our own riding club. This friend of mine also happens to be from the learning and development industry. And so therefore, our conversations were very, we used to find things to talk to,
Yeah. Same
talk,
relatable
relatable
topics.
topics. And every time I felt that I was being pulled down emotionally, I would reach out to people who made me feel better.
Yeah. And that's the very best thing which we can give to ourselves.
Yes.
Instead of crying. Crying is fine.
Crying
After
is fine.
After some time, but find somebody who can listen to your cry.
Yes.
And its crying is totally fine.
It's absolutely fine. You want to feel relieved, cry it
Yes.
out. It's all right.
Yes.
But don't sit and be a crybaby.
Yes. Talk to somebody, vent it out, and
move on.
Move on. Don't hold
Don't
it.
hold it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the other person will get bored of you.
Yes. And the one thing that has always worked for me is I cannot change what has happened. I cannot control the change that is happening in front of me.
Yeah.
What can I do to help myself in the period of change? Long and short of the entire story here is embracing uncertainty also requires a lot of patience, resilience, and the willingness to adapt.
Yes.
If there is no willingness, then there is nothing anybody can do.
Nothing.
Nobody can help you.
Yes. And there's one more thing that you need to have control on your mind as well, because it is gonna fluctuate with a lot of.
It will.
Yeah. It's just that you need to know what you're going to pick it up and utilize it.
And you have to find your own methods to do it.
Yes.
For some, it could be painting. For some, it could be motorbiking. For some, it could be meditation. A friend of mine uses, she goes on meditation camps.
Yeah, there are a lot of camps now.
Just so that she can unwind and de-stress.
Yeah.
That's her way of doing it. I go to a dog park to unwind and de-stress. You put me in front of 25 dogs, I'll be very de-stressed in front of them because they give that back to you.
There they give.
We found our own ways to deal with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's very much important.
And another very important aspect in this entire journey is don't forget to rest.
Yeah.
Because if your mind is rested,
then only you can function.
Is when you can think, is when your creativity comes out better.
Yeah.
So don't forget to bring that balance of health, mindfulness, physical health, mindfulness, which in turn leads to being positive.
Okay.
Positivity is not something that I can say, oh, this person has positivity. What I'd say is that this person has resilience and therefore, or this person has better creativity, and therefore more positive.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no one answer to your question, frankly. The amount of examples I can share, I probably will need about 4-5 such podcasts for me
Yeah, we will.
to for me to share those examples. But yes, I think it is really about self-control, mind control, and intentionally wanting to be part of that change.
Yeah. And which is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is totally important, because you can't run away every time with situation. In fact, any situation you can't run away.
You can't run. Where will you go?
Where will you? It will come, because that is your question. That is your situation which you
Yes.
have to handle.
Yes. I recently interviewed a girl who lives in Goa, and she
How was she in a mood to give interview being a Goan?
well, she lives in Goa. She works with the same organization that I am with.
Uh-huh.
And I was interviewing her for another role altogether, where I was asked to be on the panel for that role. And, she said something which is very beautiful. I said, how is life different in Goa? I mean, she's also lived in Bombay. I asked her, how is it different in Goa? What differences do you see? She said, if you are okay with not having the comfort of Blinkit and Zepto and
I think I
Swiggy,
know her.
Instamart,
Yeah. Okay.
you might.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're okay with without those comforts, then this place is really chill.
Yeah.
So you see, she chose uncertainty. She chose discomfort
Yes.
over easy deliveries.
Easy deliveries, quick deliveries, lot of
food
apps.
coming at your doorstep.
Yeah, lot of apps. Even if it's raining, food will still come.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even during the pandemic, food came.
Food came, yeah. And still, people were still cribbing about it. And there were a
Yes.
lot of people who were not having the basic food, clothes, and all.
Yes.
So people need to see that what you have, what is served in your plate, and utilize
Be grateful for it.
it. Yes.
Gratitude.
Gratitude. Practice.
Very important to practice
Yes.
gratitude, because even if times are uncertain, I still have a skill. I've been able to make so much from what I have learned in the past. I can't thank anyone enough for it.
Yes.
Right? I was able to make money for so many years. That is the gratitude I will
Yes.
have.
People need to remember that.
Yes. I think it's very easy for human beings to take for granted the
Yes.
past.
Yes.
But actually, the past, the experience that our past has given us,
Yeah.
the money that we've made because of how we have been in the past, has made us who we are today.
Yes. And that's how we are able to segregate like what is good or
Yes,
bad,
yes.
which is the right or wrong choice.
Correct. Right and wrong is very subjective, Richa.
Okay.
What is right to me may not be right to you.
Yeah, person to person and situation to situation.
Situation.
Yeah, it's a difference of perspective.
I really don't want to get deep into this.
Yeah, because that's gonna be a long
It's good-
conversation,
no, no,
and it's a different question.
It's a
as well.
different question altogether. So yeah, I think embracing uncertainty or dealing with uncertainty. There are multiple ways to do it. The answer lies within you.
Yes. Before we wrap up, I want you to give us your insights for working professionals, how they can balance their emotions at work, upskilling, and growing in their career. So, what are your thoughts in it?
I think upskilling, there is a lot that we've spoken about.
Yeah.
And there are so many opportunities now. No longer are we dependent on organizations to give us training programs for us to learn anything. You open a YouTube, you'll be able to learn some of the most basic skills.
Yes.
And YouTube is so accessible. Even if you don't have a premium membership on LinkedIn, there are free courses available.
For 30 days, they are giving free
the
as
trial
well.
membership
Yes,
and
yeah.
everything. Well, that there's a lot of resistance that I might have to give my credit card information and so on and so forth. My point is that learning is available everywhere.
Yeah.
So upskilling is done in multiple ways, right? One is the functional skills that you need to perform your role at work. So whether it is about learning how to drive a process, or whether it is about learning how to use Excel, how to use PowerPoint. Now PowerPoint also AI is generating for
Yes.
you. So learning how to use AI. On Instagram, there is a reel that comes almost every day saying you spend 15 minutes on ChatGPT on how to navigate through various AI tools.
Yeah.
15 minutes every day, and you'll become a master at AI. A lot depends on the curiosity you have. So, my first submission will be that curiosity is the route that will take you to places. If you are curious, you'll find ways to learn, you'll find ways to upskill. You can even go and ask the person sitting right next to you to teach you something that you didn't know,
Yeah.
right? But if I'm not curious as an individual, I will not learn. So, developing the habit of curiosity is something that one has to work on very consciously. I have a team member of mine who used to be very quiet during his growing phase, and we're all still growing. But during the phase when he had come into my team, one of the areas that I observed about him was that he didn't ask too many questions. He did not demonstrate a lot of curiosity. So, he made a conscious attempt to ask the why, what, when, who, how, the 5 W's and
yeah.
1 H, to the point where he himself now feels that, am I being too nosy?
Okay.
And it's okay. If you're being nosy, it's fine as
Yeah.
long as you're not eating into someone's personal space. But learning happens from everything around you. What you do with that learning is, again, your preference, how you deal with that learning and how you apply it in your own lives is something that you can decide. So upskilling is a trait, is a habit. It is not something that anyone can teach you. Nobody can teach you how to develop an upskilling mindset.
Yeah.
That
That
you
should
have
come
to,
from
it
within.
has to come
Yeah.
from within. Avenues are there. Explore those avenues. You want to learn something that is not there in your organization, go look up the web. Ask ChatGPT, ask any of these AI tools. They will tell you a whole lot of things. I recently learned how to create, I didn't know how to create a personal blog.
Okay.
While I love writing, but I asked ChatGPT, what steps do I need to go about to create my own personal blog? And it gave me those steps. So that's a new skill I have learned. Applying those skills in relevant places will further teach you how to get better at what you do. I'll give you the example of two, actually one maybe. MS Dhoni, great cricketer. Does he practice in the nets even today?
No.
He does.
He does?
He
Okay.
does.
I
Why
think
does
I'm
he
not
practice?
updated. Okay.
Why does he practice? He practices so that he gets better at what he's already good at. There is no limit to what you can master. Mastery is, you get certificates of mastery, you get certificates of being an expert, etc. But ask any successful professional today, do they invest in learning? The answer is always yes.
Yes. Yeah.
What kind of learning? Use opportunities where the learning that you pick up is most relevant to the jobs that you are doing today or the future jobs that you want to do going forward. Having said all of this, that sounds like a lot of pressure. Learn, apply, practice. Till you are not of sound mental and physical health, none of what you do is going to be effective.
Yeah.
So get those 6 to 8 hours of sleep every day. We are not supermen, we are not superwomen who say, oh, I can function without 3-4 days of sleep. Maybe in a phase you can, but if you do that, if you repeatedly keep tiring your body and your mind, you will get exhausted
Yeah. It's gonna hamper you for a long run.
for a very long time.
And it's a very slow thing which will hit you slowly.
It'll hit you
slowly.
much later.
Yeah.
But it will hit you at
Yes.
some point in time. Intentionally bring in some amount of exercise in your life. It could be just about 20 minutes of walking or 20 minutes of yoga or about thrice a week of hitting the gym. I've been reading a lot about 150 hours in a week is what you should invest in your physical development,
Okay.
physical activity. And of course, the right nutrition. We have so much of food available everywhere, but are we really intentionally eating what our body requires? And how do we keep our internal organs healthy is by eating the right kind of food. The balance is brought in with a combination of applying what you have learned at the workplace and keeping your body and mind ready for that application.
Okay.
You cannot afford to tire your mind out a lot. You'll start feeling fogged in the brain. And by the way, your first question was post-pandemic,
Yes.
right? If you notice in the recent past, there is also a new concept that is emerged, which is antibiotic resistance.
Okay.
What that means is that people are falling sick so often and they're taking antibiotics so often that the body is now beginning to resist it. And we invest in ourselves to ensure that we stay healthier, fall sick less often, and when we fall sick, of course, medication, there's no alternative to that, but eating the right kind of food so that our body copes faster,
Yeah.
right? Resting. When you need to rest, rest. Don't be that martyr saying that, oh, I will go to office even if I'm burning with fever. Nobody appreciates that.
Nobody wants that.
You might have a couple of people say, oh my God, what dedication. I'd say that dedication is not towards yourself then. First, you dedicate all that is required to yourself and then you dedicate yourself to the workplace.
Yeah.
But if you are not feeling great, the output of what you bring to the table will also not be great. I have noticed, and people make a big deal out of it saying, oh, I have a headache, but I've still come to office. Don't come. Take the day off.
And they advertise also.
Nahi karna hai na. Why?
Uh-huh.
Why would they want to do that?
Yeah.
Right? That's what I'm saying. Don't be the martyr.
Yeah.
Saying, I have sacrificed my health for work.
We are not
No-
asking.
nobody's asking for
Nobody's
it.
asking.
Organizations.
In fact, you are giving that complex feeling to others, saying this that person is not able to do, but I am able to work even if I am well, not well.
Yes, and I mean, you're probably creating a very different kind of influence at the workplace, which is not
Not
desirable.
required and not asked even.
And not asked even. Take rest when you have to take rest. And managers, leaders understand. We are all humans. Even I fall sick,
Yeah.
right? Health comes first. That's what all of my managers have told me. Health comes first.
Yes.
Very recently, I woke up to very bad shoulder pain.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot happening at work. It just took one message to my manager saying that I'm not feeling too great. I've got a lot of shoulder pain. I might want to take the day off. And then a few hours later, I sent her another text saying that I think I'll work from home because there's just too much happening. Her response was, work will happen.
Yeah.
Look after yourself.
And this is the leader we are looking for.
Yes.
Instead of the kind of reel that when you are sick, come to work, and when you are on vacation, take sick leave.
Don't
They're
do
not
that.
required. Yeah.
In in our training programs, one of my first trainers gave a very funny anecdote. He asked us to imagine a lizard on the ceiling, and you've seen the lizard who's got his hands stuck to the ceiling and his legs stuck to the ceiling. What do you think the lizard is thinking? The lizard is thinking, I am the one holding the weight of the ceiling. If I move, the ceiling will fall. But the ceiling doesn't fall. The lizard will move, he'll go find whatever other place he has to. He'll probably be vertical somewhere, horizontal somewhere. The ceiling will remain where it is. The same thing applies to us at the workplace. If we take those 2 days off, work will continue to happen.
Yeah. Somebody
We
or
are-
other will take care of it.
We are not lizards.
Yeah.
We don't have to be that lizard.
That's a very great example. Now, whenever I'll see a lizard.
Oh my God. Did I just color your mind with that? Not a very pleasant thing to think of.
I'm very scared. Even.
No, the thing is that as we grow up the ladder in the corporate world, we learn to empathize. I mean, in my growing years, even I felt that, oh my God, if I take the day off, my manager is going to be very upset. My manager is going to be upset if I take the day off without taking the responsibility of informing them. I can't abscond and take the day off.
Mm-hmm.
If I need to take the day off because I'm unwell, it actually means that I should be sitting at home because I'm not going to bring my best to work. Whatever opportunities we have around us will be maximized only and only when we are of sound mental and physical health. Not just that, there are occurrences that take place in our houses. About 12 years back, when I lost my father, we lost him in the month of May. And typically around the month of June, July, there used to be a big event that we used to organize at the workplace, and I was responsible for that. I proactively called my manager and I said, can you assign someone who I can hand over my tasks for the next 15 days so that when I'm back, work is moved, and I just come and take a handover back again. That was appreciated because even in that difficult time, there is a certain sense of accountability that I demonstrated.
Yes.
And I said that this should not stop. And it wouldn't have stopped.
Yeah.
There were
But you took the ownership.
the reason I took that ownership was because whoever gets assigned to that will either have to learn from scratch in terms of what to do, or they take a handover from me and start running from where I left it.
Yeah.
What is better? I'm not sharing this because I want to make an impression of the fact that I always do the right things, but this is something that I learned from someone else.
Yeah. And this is what you're passing to us.
This is what I'm passing to, you
Yeah.
and the others.
Yes.
That you're unwell, you have an occurrence at home, you have a situation because of which you can't be at work. Take the responsibility to let someone else do that for you.
Yeah.
And it's okay if someone else is managing your work for you sometimes. Don't we do that at home as well?
Yeah. Yeah. We do that.
Right?
We ask somebody to help us.
Yeah. If I'm not feeling too great, I mean, in your case, if you're not feeling too great, I'm sure your husband pitches in,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Or now your daughter's growing up, I'm sure she will pitch in.
Yes.
So we take help from people around us. It's all right to ask for help. Let's not try to be that individual who says that without me, this world will not function.
The world will move.
Function. The world will function. It will move. It will take its own course. The global warming will continue to become warmer. You cannot do anything about it. What you can do is just take responsibility for your own actions. Keep yourself well. Keep yourself healthy. Get that well-deserved rest every single day.
This is what is required.
Yes, it is required.
Because it brings a positivity.
Yes.
And with a positive smile as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I can vouch for one thing, Richa, that look, I think I just mentioned to you some time back, I've been working out for about 15 years now. Don't go by how I look, but I have been working out very regularly for
Yes.
15 years. The healing that happens when I fall sick, or if I take a fall or something, the healing is much faster. So I'm not investing in my body because I want to only look great.
Yeah.
I'm also investing in myself because in the longer run, as I grow older, there will be circumstances where my body will require to cope.
Yeah.
I'm readying my body on a daily basis to cope with it.
This is what we need, consistency.
Yes.
Not only the outer look, the inner strength and the inner look is also much, which is, it's much ignored, People only go for the outer look and all, but they are not focusing on their inner growth.
Oh, that's very important.
Yeah, that is as well important, and that's what
Yes.
you are telling.
Yes. I'm going to share a very funny incident with you. A friend of mine, about 6 months back, when she got her blood tests done, she was on borderline sugar. And, for a few days, she gave up on sugar and she did not eat a lot of rice and so on and so forth. And then went back to her comfort zone. And then when it was time for her to do her retests, about 4 days before that, she started climbing stairs. She started going for walks. She reduced her sugar intake. And I said, what happened? She said, no, I'm getting my blood test done in the next 4 days. I said, just for your information, the parameters that your sugar test will give you is an average of the last 3 months. So
Yes.
these 4 days is not going to make a difference.
It's of the quarter, yeah.
It's of the quarter. So these 4 days are not going to make so much of a difference. But I'm glad you've taken the step that you have. And she just sheepishly smiled and, she said, no, maybe something will happen. The reason I shared this is because it's not for a specific event or a specific day that you want to get yourself ready.
Yeah.
You're getting ready for life. You're getting ready for what life is going to bring to you.
Yeah.
Right?
As a surprise.
Maybe a surprise. Like we all know, as we grow older, graying of hair will happen. Your bones and joints might start hurting. What are you doing to take care of it is the question. A lot of people are not very comfortable with grays on their hair, on their head. Well, it is a phenomenon that is universally true. So you can choose whether you want to color it or you don't want to color it.
There are a lot of options as well nowadays. Back then, there were not much
there weren't
options.
many options. Yeah. But what kind of repercussions can external chemical do? What kind of negative repercussions can it have on you? Do a little bit of reading about that. Don't jump in only because you want to look nice for the moment. And as far as possible, avoid. I mean, there is an 80-20 rule, at least I follow. I eat junk and I
Yeah.
love eating junk.
Yeah.
I'm crazy after the biryanis that you get in Bangalore.
Okay.
But 80% of the time, I'm trying to eat healthy. 20% I indulge. That indulgence is also important because that is what helps the happy hormones trigger.
Yes.
Right. If I eat that biryani, which tastes awesome, and right, I'm feeling very hungry thinking of biryani.
Should we order?
No, not at all. But if I hold myself back on that indulgence, I'm stressing my mind out.
Yes.
So have those indulgences. Go out, spend those late night outs once in a while. But 80% of the time at least, you
Be on
owe
the
it to
track.
yourself.
Yeah.
You owe it to yourself. The body is like a machine, Richa. If you do not switch off the machine for some time, it will start heating up and it will start negatively performing. It won't produce the results that the machine is supposed to produce.
Yeah.
Why do we have to switch off our laptops once in a while? Because we need to give it that rest. I'll give the example of my motorbiking trips. I can ride, and I've done in a day I've ridden about 900 kilometers. But I still have to take those breaks every 150, 200 kilometers to rejuvenate my body and to let my bike cool down a bit.
Yes. Yeah, they say, yeah.
If I don't let it cool down, it might just,
Burst
something
of
will
fire.
happen.
Yes,
Yeah,
it happens. And it
It
happens.
has happened.
Yeah, especially during summers and all, it happens.
We charge our phones. Why do they say that don't only half charge your phone and then start using it? They say wait for it to charge fully.
Yeah.
And don't use your phone while you're charging it. There's a reason behind it, because when it is fully charged, it is performing to optimal capacity. And if you keep using the phone while it is getting charged,
Yeah.
it will take longer for it to reach full charge, and
Becomes heaty.
the performance of the phone slows down over a period in time. The same thing applies to our body. That night sleep is actually that plugged in charger.
Yeah.
And not doing anything else with our body and mind at that time, just sleeping, resting, is what helps the body come to maximum optimal capacity to perform. How can individuals bring that balance of performing at the workplace through skilling and self-care? Learn new things, learn relevant things, apply them, put them into practice.
Okay.
And give your body its due by taking breaks, by sleeping well, by eating right, and by exercising regularly.
That's a great, sum up, and the closing statement which you have given. And
Thank you.
I'm sure that, our audience will utilize all these things, because we have really, sat down and curated the question, which was really the, need and ask for the situation which is happening out there in the personal and professional world of everyone, not only Gen Zs, in every, either it's millennial or Gen Zs or the current generation. So thank you so much, Uttara, for explaining with such a basic example with our daily activities, which people can actually relate. They don't need to mug up and summarize all these things. It's a very daily routine which you explained. So thank you so much once again for taking out your time, being here and giving all your thoughts, all your experience which you have learned. And it takes a lot of courage, to come at the show and trust somebody, and meeting somebody for the first time and having the trust and putting your experience and giving him or her your entire journey experience. So, and opening up, during the conversation, I could feel that you did open up, and you went in a comfort zone, and I could take you in a comfort zone, and you did open up.
You definitely could.
Yes, so thank you so much for trusting me and being a part of my journey.
And thank you for having me here, Richa. It's been a pleasure. I'm hoping that with our conversation, we are able to have a little bit of a positive influence. That's our way of contributing back
towards
to
the society,
towards the corporate world and the society.
Yes,
so,
and I'm hoping again to have more shows,
of course,
with you once we'll have a group podcast.
Let's do that. Yes,
let's do that with a different leader, either from the same organization or different organization.
Sure.
That's on the card. That's what I'm planning in my next season. So stay tuned for it. Yeah,
absolutely.
thank you so much.
Thank you.